this would be easier, a lot less sleazier. Turns out I had it wrong, I feel like I don't belong. Streamers told me to use React, promised me jobs, that's a fact. Instead I'm drowned in misery, slow performance a pure mystery. Why did I choose this road? Heavy modules with Node, breaking my heart into pieces, finding myself jobless. What went wrong with Rust? I thought Joe Biden had trust. Now I'm left with slow compiles while all C coders smile. I was pulled in by ease, told me React was a breeze, said C was unsafe and lame. Turns out Rust is the same. So many crabs everywhere, but back out now, I don't dare. Fell in love with TypeScript, thought my skills finally tipped to the peak of the web, but turns out I'm a pleb. Why did I choose this road? Heavy modules with Node, breaking my heart into pieces, finding myself jobless. What went wrong with Rust? I thought Joe Biden had trust. Now I'm left with slow compiles while all C coders smile. Now I rely on AI just to barely get by. Wish I had time to get better. I'm stuck, forced, fettered. No one else seems to care. It's like a circus fair. Would love to quit this race, this cult-like craze. Alas, I'm bound by these shackles. Real code I'll never tackle.
Yeah. Pull up to the repo with that imperative rich energy. These tech bros about to learn about efficiency. Stack Overflow rep don't impress me none. Your Medium articles make me wanna run. Got these nerds in my mentions talking about their code, but their GitHub commits looking mighty old. You flex with that functional programming flow, but your recursive logic moving way too slow. Got 99 problems and your React is one. Your state management's weak, hun, we're done. I'm that Vandal bitch writing straight vanilla, while you over-engineer and trying to kill her. Simple problem with your 1,000 depths. Can't ship inside my prod, doesn't matter your test. Don't slide in my DMs with your Rust code. I see right through your try-hard mode. Yeah. Your Docker containers like your personality, empty inside, no functionality. You talk big game about your AI model, but your neural network's stuck in zero throttle, trying to compensate with your big O notation, but your pants scream tiny baby O notation. You can keep your fancy frameworks, boo, I'm too busy making revenue. Your Kubernetes cluster's a mess like your game, multiple instances, but they all the same. Talking about your blockchain NFT, but your wallet's empty, can't fool me. Your code review's longer than your dating history. All these comments, but still a mystery. Think you're special with your graph, Clo, but your query's hitting straight to hell. You fork my repo, trying to contribute, but your code's so basic, it's destitute. Got more red flags than your Git conflicts. Your deployment pipeline needs a fix. Bragging about your fancy architecture, but the inside of your pants say you're a bragger. Try to scale up, but you're scaling down, while I'm out here wearing the crown. I'm that bad bitch writing straight vanilla, while you over-engineer and trying to kill her. Simple problem with your 1,000 depths. Can't ship inside my prod, doesn't matter your test. Don't slide in my DMs with your Rust code. I see right through your try-hard mode. Yeah. Your brain's throwing 404s with all that list. Parentheses got your mind in a twist. Talking about monads in your Haskell flow, but your neural pathways running mighty slow. Use effect this and use context that. Your hooks got your synapses falling flat. Pure functions, but your thoughts are side effects. Your brain stack overflow needs to reset. Functional composition broke your head. Now you're zombie walking, mentally dead. Lambda calculus made you calculate wrong. Your cognitive functions don't belong. They don't belong. keep your TypeScript and your hooks. I ain't impressed by how your code base looks. While you're debugging that memory leak, I'm counting stacks, staying unique. Imperative bitch code, no frameworks needed. Your pull request just got deleted. Mic drop. One day my boyfriend said to me, the biggest, best programmer's me. He programs with AI and Rust and uses React, apparently a must. I said, boy, that is a crutch for you, isn't it? But you don't really need it, because your PP is so big, right? Rust is just a crutch for you, isn't it? But you don't really need it, because your weenie peenie is big, right? I need you to be honest with me. Tell me that you don't use C, because you just want to be different, right? I said every real programmer uses C. You are useless just like your PP. I need you to be honest with me. Tell me that you use vanilla JavaScript. Rust, it's just a crutch for you, isn't it? But you don't really need it, because it's so big, right? I need you to be honest with me. Tell me that you don't use C, because you just want to be different, right? One day my boyfriend said to me, the biggest, best programmer's me. He programs with AI and Rust and uses React, apparently a must. Rust, it's just a crutch for you, isn't it? But you don't really need it, because it's so big, right? I need you to be honest with me. Tell me that you don't use C, because you just want to be different, right?
Okay, I think I'm ready. Let me make sure. Got that on my screen. Turn down the music.
I said every real programmer uses C.
Apparently I can't.
You are useless just like your PP. I need you to be honest with me. Tell me that you use vanilla JavaScript.
There we go. You are useless just like your PP. Okay, welcome in, folks. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. If you're watching this live on Rumble or Twitch or YouTube or LinkedIn, or take your pick wherever you are, thanks for joining me this afternoon, my afternoon anyways. I hope you're all having a good day. I am a bit behind on news articles because yesterday I went on an unhinged rant, which you can find on my YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel under the live. Just go watch the Daily Tech News for yesterday. The last, I don't know, 40 minutes, 30 minutes was me just screaming into the microphone like a lunatic. But it felt so good. Because y'all need to hear it. So let's get into the... by the way, hey Lawler, thanks for the sub for 15 months. I forgot to look at my Twitch chat. How you doing, Lawler? Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing well. 15 months, Lawler. It has been... Holy crap, Lawler. We've been through some stuff together, you and I. We've seen some things. Great songs. Yeah, I like the songs. You'll watch it tomorrow for breakfast. Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth a lunatic rant. I think I did a good one. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's get into some of the news articles. As per usual, normally what I do is work on a video game which I am building using C and vanilla JavaScript and HTML and CSS and compiling the C code to WebAssembly. That's normally what I'm doing around here. I run it on the browser. There's no GPU acceleration, no web GPU, WebGL, Canvas, nothing like that. It's all just, it's all vanilla. No cheats, no cheats. So that's normally what I'm doing. Let me see if I can. Just a sec. Let me just make sure I can get this showing on screen proper. There we go. So yeah, normally I'm working on this guy. Right? I'm coding this up. However, on the daily, I'm covering tech news, which you can see behind the game. Let me just pop this down. So we're going to get into a few security articles so that you guys are aware of security issues that are going around, and then I might slip in a different kind of article here and there. So for this first one, this was from yesterday. We have a cross-platform ransomware called Van Helsing. It targets Windows, Linux, and VMware. So that's actually kind of scary because VMware is kind of a locked ecosystem, and it can still make it in there. Somewhat of a locked ecosystem. I guess it doesn't have to be, but it's still a scary thing to me, in my opinion. Researchers have identified a new ransomware as a service group called Van Helsing, which launched on March 7th and has already targeted 3 organizations demanding $500,000 from each. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you why in particular I'm bringing this one up first. Despite its cross-platform design supporting Windows, Linux, VMware, BSD, and ARM-based systems, only Windows machines have been infected so far. Researchers believe Van Helsing is an original ransomware strain, not a rebrand. Affiliates pay a $5,000 deposit to join the program unless they have an established reputation. They receive 80% of ransom payments, while the remaining 20% goes to the operators. Affiliates are responsible for infection methods, such as malicious emails or downloads. I just want you to pay attention to what they slipped in right here. I had to read this article twice before I understood. It was kind of like a hard context switch. So initially, the context is, oh, there's this new ransomware, and it's called Van Helsing, and I'm like, oh, typical, another day, right? No. This is ransomware as a service group. I didn't know that this existed. So you literally join a group where ransomware is provided for you by some individuals within said group. It's an affiliate. It's like a multi-level marketing scheme for ransomware. And you pay either $5,000 to join, or if you have a reputation, you get a free pass. You use the ransomware that whoever these people are create, and then they get kickbacks for every time you have a successful ransomware usage. I did not know this existed. I thought that security was already bad with people just npm installing whatever the hell ever they want, Rust creating, Composer installing, a Python pipping, whatever it is. I thought things were bad because people don't check the code that is being included, and it is an aspect of these kinds of security issues that make these security issues worse. It's obviously it's not the whole of it. There are other ways that people become exploited, or that systems become exploited. But when I read that there are groups that have affiliate marketing schemes, I was blown away, and I might have to do a deep dive on one of my Enlightened Programming streams on how these groups operate, because I simply just had no idea. So, just a sec. So you join this group. The Van Helsing program includes a control panel to simplify infections, suggesting it targets lower skilled cybercriminals. So I just want to be clear. Not only was my mind blown by the fact that there are ransomware as a service groups. No, it doesn't stop there. They roll out the red carpet for you. if you're someone who does not know how to operate in one of these groups, you're like a newly brandished cyber criminal, you're looking to make your way in the cyber criminal world, they got you covered, bro. They probably have an Electron React web-based dashboard, and it'll, with a click of a button, you can deploy your ransomware and receive those sweet, sweet dollar bills. Just give 20% to the original creators. And I just want to ask the question that I think we all know the answer to. Do you honestly believe? Just be honest with me. Just be honest, okay? Just be real for a minute. Do you think AI is going to make this better or worse? Yeah. Just think about that for a moment. Development is ongoing with rapid updates and incomplete features. Researchers analyzed 2 different Windows samples compiled within 5 days of each other. The group, okay, here's another point. The group prohibits attacks in Russia and other Commonwealth of Independent States countries. A common rule among similar gangs. Would any of the viewers like to take a gander as to why such a rule would exist among these ransomware as gangs groups? Researchers noted fears among affiliates about being co-opted by the Russian government, referencing similar dynamics in groups like Lockbit. This aligns with a broader observation that the Russian government may tolerate or even collaborate with ransomware groups, a trend also seen in China. While ransomware groups are increasingly developing Linux targeting variants, recent incidents suggest that many attacks remain concentrated on Windows environments for now. Okay, now, this right here is probably, in my opinion, it is the most scary aspect of this. And it's not because I think that it's, particularly positive to instill fear about other nations. I actually don't think that's a good way to view the world. So whether it's Russia or China or India or South America somewhere, Mexico, Canada, it honestly doesn't matter the country. That's actually not the most concerning thing here. It's not that Russia or that China or whatever. It's that any country could operate in this way. These are just the ones we know about. And we seem to have in North America, in the tech industry in North America, we seem to have a very laid back and relaxed attitude to security and to performance and to how we handle our code and to vibe coding and using AI everywhere. We don't seem to care. And nation state actors, if it's true that they're backing groups like this, but even if they're not, even if no nation in the world is backing any ransomware group at all ever, this argument still holds true. The groups themselves love it. Love it when we operate North American tech interests in the most ridiculously stupid and dumb ways possible, because all it does is leave doors open for them to exploit. And they're going to. They're going to use every avenue that we leave available to them to make money, gain information, gain access, whatever their end game is. You hope that the end game is making money, because people with morals like that, who are willing to do unethical things to make money, could very easily have morals that expand beyond just, I would like to make money in unethical ways. They could easily think, I would like to cause other types of harm in unethical ways. And we do not take that seriously enough. And if you think that these companies, these groups, these nations care about the feelings of the coders who create these systems, or what words you use in your code, ridiculous metrics like that. No, they don't care. What they care about is the results. And the results, fortunately so far, are usually down to we want to make money. And they will do whatever it takes to get there. What the hell are we doing? So I thought this was a good opener because it actually, the fact that groups like this exist blew my mind, and it brought up a few points that I think are important to talk about. Okay, next article. AI is going to get more intrusive. NVIDIA's AI assistant is here to optimize your gaming PC. So NVIDIA is creating G Assist, which, might come in handy in the bedroom, you know what I'm saying? For us men folk who can't find the G, just pull up your G Assist spot, you'll find the G. Can even tweak game settings and control the lighting on accessories. So NVIDIA's G Assist was originally an April Fool's prank in 2017 before becoming a real tech demo last year, and a functioning AI assistant for RTX GPU owners today. So essentially what it's going to do is it's an AI assistant through voice or text prompts. So you can ask it questions about how to enable or disable certain features as you're playing a game or as you're using the card, and it will go ahead and make the changes for you. I see no way that this could be completely terrible and perhaps even break your GPU. There's no risk of that at all, right? Just none. And then G-Assist uses a local small language model that requires nearly 10 gigs of space for the assistant functions and voice capabilities. The AI assistant works in a variety of RTX 3040 50 series desktop GPUs, but you'll need a card with at least 12 gigs of VRAM. So you got to pay. Anyway, that's coming to a desktop near you. Up next, more security flaws and Kubernetes. I hate Kubernetes. I think it's a bloated, unnecessary abstraction that you do not need. And I'm so happy to see it getting bunch of eggs thrown in its face. It's just terrible. I don't know why anyone would use Kubernetes. Okay, public-facing Kubernetes clusters at risk of takeover thanks to Ingress Nginx flaw. How many K8S systems are sat in the internet front porch like that? Oh, thousands apparently. Cloudy InfoSec outwit Wiz has discovered serious vulnerabilities in the admission controller component of Ingress Nginx controller that could allow the total takeover of Kubernetes clusters, and thinks more than 6,000 deployments of the software are at risk on the internet. Kubernetes clusters are exposed more often than you might think to external HTTPS traffic to allow outside access to the applications they run. Putting the cluster admission controller out there too doesn't seem a great idea to us, but apparently thousands of them are accessible. In K8S-talk, allowing external traffic to reach a cluster is known as ingress. So K8S-talk is like I think a library or a package that helps you manage your Kubernetes clusters. Rules about how to handle ingress are defined in ingress objects and are processed by an ingress controller. As explained by Kubernetes team member Tabitha Sable on Monday, an ingress controller uses that definition, an ingress object, to set up local or cloud resources as required for the user's particular situation and needs. Ingress Nginx translates the requirements from ingress objects into configuration for Nginx, a powerful open source whatever daemon Sable added. Then Nginx uses that configuration to accept and route requests to the various applications running within a Kubernetes cluster. Proper handling of these Nginx configuration parameters is crucial because Ingress Nginx needs to allow users significant flexibility while preventing them from accidentally or intentionally tricking Nginx into doing things it shouldn't. It looks like Ingress Nginx doesn't handle them properly. Yeah, because anytime you abstract something over something else, you get this. When you're converting from a Kubernetes cluster over from a Kubernetes like configuration, that's what's happening. It's an ingress. It's a definition set of rules, like a configuration set of rules being converted from one method to another. The end method being Kubernetes, and Kubernetes is not converting it properly, and so then you have all these Kubernetes clusters that are exposed through bad Nginx automated configurations. So it allows injecting an arbitrary Nginx configuration remotely by sending a malicious ingress object directly to the admission controller through the network. So a miscreant needs to be able to reach a vulnerable ingress Nginx admission controller to pull off the attack described this week by Wiz. But that's actually not that hard either, because all you have to do is probe a bunch of IP addresses, which hackers have access to all the time. They share IP addresses of all kinds of stuff all the time, and some of it is just publicly available, and you just probe ports until you find something, and once you see that it's vulnerable like this, off to the races with you. So then it allows Nginx to execute remote code on the Ingress Nginx controller's pod. It gets worse. Admission controllers have elevated privilege and unrestricted network accessibility. So malware executed by the Nginx validator could therefore run riot. It'll just do whatever the heck you want it to do. Exploiting this flaw allows an attacker to execute arbitrary code and access all cluster secrets across namespaces that could lead to complete cluster takeover. So there's a guess that it's like 6,500 publicly accessible Kubernetes installations are vulnerable, but who knows? Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. But this is crazy that this is just out there. Anyway, hey ALS on Twitch. How you doing? Hey Ghost on Twitch. Hope you're doing well. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, we've got, I thought this one was interesting. A new challenging AGI test stumps most AI models. So what is this test that seems to be stumping most AI models? I had a joke, but I can't. I don't think I can make it family friendly. It might break terms of service, so I'm not going to make the joke. Okay, let's see. So the ARC Prize Foundation, a nonprofit co-founded by prominent AI researcher Francois Chollet, announced in a blog post on Monday that it has created a new challenging test to measure the general intelligence of leading AI models. So far, the new test called ARC AGI-2 has stumped most models. So what is it? It consists of the ARC AGI tests. Whoops, that was terrible of me. Consists of puzzle-like what the heck? Stop doing that. Puzzle-like problems where AI has to identify visual patterns from a collection of different colored squares and generate the correct answer grid. The problems were designed to force an AI to adapt to new problems it hasn't seen before. The ARC Prize Foundation had over 400 people take ARC AGI-2 to establish a human baseline. On average, panels of these people got 60% of the test's questions right, much better than any of the model's scores. So fortunately for us, right this second, humans are smarter than most AI models. Thank goodness I was concerned. So essentially what you do is you have a look at the patterns of these like shapes essentially. And then what you have to do is generate this last one based on what you see as like the connectivity between these shapes as you step through the flow. So already I can determine there's a particular pattern, which is, I mean, I won't say it, but you can kind of see what it is. I can pretty much take a guess as to what this last one should be just from having looked at it earlier this morning. I don't think it's a particularly tough one. So in a post on X, Chalet claimed ARC AGI2 is a better measure of an AI model's actual intelligence than ARC AGI1. Now, the ARC AGI2 introduces a new metric, so it's not actually just more difficult. It also requires that you do it efficiently. So it says it's right the next sentence. I should have just read the rest of the paragraph. It also requires models to interpret patterns in the fly instead of relying on memorization. So it's a bit more enhanced because that's a little bit closer to what you would expect a human being to be able to do, more or less. And so the new test is intended to be an enhanced version of whatever the original test was. And I believe the original was along the same lines. You had to look at the shapes and figure out what the end result was. Now, the original scores on the first test were not that great overall, although OpenAI's O3 model did get 75.7% for the first test. However, for 2, we don't know yet because most of the models can barely get it right. Even on the first one, a lot of models got, here we go, got a measly 4% on ARC AGI2 using $200 worth of computing power per task. And even on the first one, I can't remember where it's one of these links. You can see the results of the first test. There were some models that really did not perform very well at all. I think they were like lower than 10% on the first one. So I can easily see why the second one would be even harder, right? So this makes sense. So I just thought that this was an interesting, what would you say? Interesting context to the entire AI discussion about how something that's simple like this, some people, might take a while to piece together what's going on here. Didn't take me very long to do it. It took me like, I don't know, 10 seconds or so, maybe less. These kinds of problems are not within grasp, and I do not see how they're within grasp in our lifetimes from a general perspective, is what I mean to say. Maybe an individual problem. You can always work an individual problem until it's solved. But I just don't see how we get to artificial general intelligence when we get scores like this with simple problems like this. I'm not sure how we do that. And like we talked about yesterday in yesterday's news, scalability is also an issue. As these problems get more complicated, you need the AI system to remember more and compute more, and that's going to take up more resources, and these prices are going to escalate, and the power usage is going to go through the roof. How many people are actually going to be able to run these systems? Can we even run them now? I just don't think we can. Ghost on Twitch says each time they introduce some new test, scores fall from 70% to 5%. It says a lot about tests and or models. Ghost, I think what it tells me is that the models are set up to fit around specific problems. They're like overfit, I guess, to specific problems. The models are not capable of general problem solving. If you manipulate them enough, they can solve very specific problems. And that's not what general intelligence is about. There's no way that kind of an AI system will ever replace human beings in any meaningful way. In niche ways, yeah, of course. But if you're just fitting a model to solve a specific problem so you can get a score of 70%, well, that doesn't mean anything. Not really. I bet they just introduced new tests and training data for new models, pretty much. That wouldn't, like I can't prove that, but that wouldn't shock me. And that seems to make sense with these scores, with these test scores. I would imagine that's true. Now, this one I'm bringing up because I think that this is a good use case. This is a positive use case for AI systems. Earth AI's algorithms found critical minerals in places everyone else ignored. If you treat AI for what it is and you keep it in its proper place, I do genuinely think that AI has some positive aspects to it that are very useful. So what they did was Earth AI, it's a startup, and they essentially took an AI system and taking a bunch of data from like geographical data, they could use the AI system to essentially take a stab at where important mineral deposits might lie, it might exist, right? And so you can see that they have a map here, and when you zoom in, they kind of overlap. Earth AI mineral licenses, there's the legend down here, and newly identified prospects, and you can see these icons are what Earth AI is allowed to look through, and then where it identifies critical minerals. And this is in Australia, which, by the way, doesn't actually exist. It's not a real place, never has been, never will be. Nobody actually comes from there. It's a massive psyop. So of course it makes sense that AI would, find critical minerals in a place that doesn't actually exist. I'm kidding. So the fact that they have found even just a few, I can't remember exactly what the count is. Let me just see if I can find it again. I don't think they say the exact count, but just on this map alone, there's at least 6. So even if you can say that they find like maybe a few in a given geographical location, that is pretty positive. It's a pretty positive outcome for, just human beings and life in general. I think this is a good use case for AI. And I wish that we had more of these kinds of uses where niche areas of our society benefit from these kinds of things. I think, I don't want AI to disappear completely, because it's got moments where it's good, like any other tool. We seem to lean too much towards the areas of AI where it's completely stupid. And we think it's like AI has become the new Jesus Christ. Come on, let's be honest here. Anyway, I just wanted I thought this was like a nice contrast to the normal trash talking of AI. Enhanced search and huge databases. Yeah. This is pretty cool. Who knows? It might have taken us a very long time to find these. Maybe we never find them. This is great. This is a great use of AI. I like seeing this. Okay. One or two more before I end the stream. So here's another one on the downside again with AI. Devs say AI crawlers dominate traffic, forcing blocks on entire countries. AI bots hungry for data are taking down sites by accident, but humans are fighting back. It's like Terminator, but on internet mode. Software developer XE Zalasso reached a breaking point earlier this year when aggressive AI crawler traffic from Amazon overwhelmed their Git repository service, repeatedly causing instability and downtime. Despite configuring standard defensive measures, adjusting robots.txt, blocking known crawler user agents, and filtering suspicious traffic, Lasso found that AI crawlers continued evading all attempts to stop them, spoofing user agents and cycling through residential IP addresses as proxies. Desperate for a solution, Lasso eventually resorted to moving their server behind a VPN and creating Anubis, a custom-built proof-of-work challenge system that forces web browsers to solve computational puzzles before accessing the site. You could just create a little thing on the front of your site. I got it, bros. I got it. Just ask the question, where is the G spot? Because of NVIDIA G service. What, sick perverts. It's futile to block AI crawler bots because they lie, change their user agent, use residential IP addresses as proxies, and more. Lasso wrote in a blog post titled "A Desperate Cry for Help." I don't want to have to close off my Gidia server to the public, but I will if I have to. Lasso's story highlights a broader crisis rapidly spreading across the open source community as what appears to be aggressive AI crawlers increasingly overload community-maintained infrastructure, causing what amounts to persistent distributed denial of service attacks on vital public resources. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it that people would use AI for these kinds of things, to go and scrape data in extremely aggressive methods and bypass all the checks that are supposed to exist to make this not possible, and people keep doing it. And it's not going to stop. It's simply not going to stop. It's just going to continue. And the downside is that you don't have a guarantee primarily on privacy. So data that you would want private from AI, there's no guarantee that it's private. And a close second, you put a huge strain on services and systems and groups that rely on essentially having not this problem, or at the very least, not to this degree. So it even says that Martin Owens from the Inkscape project noted on Mastodon that their problems weren't just from the usual Chinese DDoS from last year, but from a pile of companies that started ignoring our SpiderConf and started spoofing their browser info. Owens added, "I now have a prodigious block list. If you happen to work for a big company doing AI, you may not get our website anymore. And I know that somewhere in here, people have blocked entire countries. I believe, for example, China was one because they were getting bombarded by AI scrapers that just would not respect any of the things that they're supposed to respect when scraping data." Again, I ask, do you think this is going to get better or worse? AI is not going to go away, and people are not going to use this to make it better. It's just going to get worse. This should be illegal. I agree. I agree, Ghost. Okay, so I was going to end it on this article yesterday. I might do one more before I end the stream today, but I thought this was kind of cool. Game Informer is back. For anybody who kind of enjoyed having Game Informer, I thought this was kind of very cool news to hear. I believe they brought back their entire staff, and they're going to do the physical and the digital publishing of all their magazines. I actually do think that we need to have these kinds of physically published literature come back. I really enjoy it. I think there's still a market for it. Maybe it's not as big as it used to be, but I think particularly in the gaming world and maybe in a few other worlds, these kinds of magazines, especially in physical form, are really fun. I really enjoy seeing them around, and every once in a while pick one up somewhere and read it. It harkens back to good times. So I thought this was kind of nice to see them come back. Okay, now this wasn't the one I was going to bring up as my final one. Here we go. This one. This is the last one I'm going to do for the stream today. Because boy, oh boy, do I hate NPM. New NPM attack poisons local packages with back doors. Which is what my wife says about me when I wake up in the morning and I'm ready to go. Know what I'm saying? Poisoning that local package with a back door. And if she doesn't like it, why should you? Why should you be okay with this? God, I'm so stupid sometimes. 2 malicious packages were discovered on NPM that covertly patch legitimate, locally installed packages to inject a persistent reverse shell backdoor. I'm going to read this nice and slow. This way, even if the victim removes the malicious packages, the backdoor remains on their system. The 2 packages discovered by Reversing Labs during routine security investigations on the open source supply chain are Ethers-Provider 2 and Ethers-Provider Z. Or what's the name of that rapper who always ends everything in a Z? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not hip enough to know. The first package, which is still available on NPM at the time of writing, which is today, is based on the popular SSH2 NPM package. But with a modified install.js script that downloads a second stage payload from an external source, which is executed and then deleted when finished to wipe all traces. That's what it's called. So you can see it does ASCII to binary or base 64 maybe twice. I can't remember what I think it's B2A and then A to B. Anyway, whatever the heck that is. Don't remember off the top of my head. And it just decompresses, essentially. It converts this file, which it pulled from a remote URL, which is embedded inside of the string. So you can't even look for what the URL is upon a cursory glance. You have to you have to A to B this twice in order to get there. The second stage monitors for the legitimate Ethers package, and once it finds it, it replaces the legitimate provider JSON RPC.js file with a Trojanized version. So it's going to look for provider JSON RPC, and then it's going to write a bunch of encoded data into it. The injected file now fetches a third stage payload from the remote host, which enables a reverse shell using a modified SSH client, mimicking the legitimate SSH2 client behavior. What makes this attack so dangerous is even if Ethers-Provider 2 is uninstalled, the backdoor on the Ethers package won't be removed, and so the legitimate package remains infected. So even if you're like, I don't know what the heck this package is, let's remove it, and by some dumb luck, you removed the right package, nope, you're still stuck with a gaping open hole. The Ethers-Provider Z package features similar behavior, but targets the Ethers project/providers package instead. Its ultimate goal, based on code analysis, is also to patch the target package with a reverse shell that points to the same malicious IP address shown here. So just be careful out there when you're using NPM. Better yet, don't use it. Stop it. Stop using these things. You don't need them. All that these things do is cause heartache and misery. All they do is provide you an easy button so that you can wash your hands of issues like this, so that you do not have to check what you're doing and how you're doing it and why you're doing it. And you're told that it's okay because someone smarter than you created the thing that you're npm installing, and look what's happening. Node module folders are so large and vast now that it is completely incomprehensible and unreasonable to ask anybody to comprehensively review the code from npm install, Rust crate install, Python pip install, Composer install, you name it, whatever it is. There's no way you're going to read through all the code that you're installing when you're under a deadline, you're trying to accomplish a feature, somebody else installs it for you. If you're by yourself, you might stand a chance. If you're in a team and everybody's doing all kinds of installations of different packages for different needs, good luck. There's no way you're going to read through all of it. And you're told that you have to. This is the thing. Hey, D on X, the open source ecosystem's strength is also its weakness. That's right. So I'm kind of winding down the stream anyway, so I'll just end it on this. You're constantly told by people from all over the place. It's not explicitly said, right? Nobody's actually saying the words that I'm about to say openly, but there is an implied feeling. This is why imposter syndrome exists. This is my theory about why imposter syndrome exists. You have a bunch of people who are constantly told, use Tailwind, use npm, use React Create App, use whatever abstraction it is, along with any package manager that comes along with it. Just use these things, because if you don't, you're going to be the guy who's going to hold up an entire development team with your bespoke, reinventing the wheel system that only you understand. Don't you remember when people wrote their own thing and then a new person came in and didn't understand anything? First of all, that hasn't changed. That's still the case. And second of all, what you're really being told is that you are a moron. You are too stupid to do anything without these package management systems, because smart people have created an abstraction that you need to use because you don't know how to create an abstraction of your own. You don't even know what an abstraction is. So npm install it, because that's what everyone else is doing. That's what the big guys are doing. Don't you want to play in the big guy schoolyard? Then npm install, or whatever package management system it is, because there's no way that you want to be that guy who creates their own thing. Listen, you are not as dumb as you're implicitly being told you are. Implicitly, which means non-spoken, which means it's implied with the thing that you are being explicitly told. You're not that stupid. And no, these things don't hold up entire development teams. What these things do is allow you to have far more control and agency over your own code base. And if you're a manager or an executive who's not a programmer, you want more people who are capable of doing these things. Bare minimum, I'll compromise on this. Bare minimum, if you are capable of inventing some of your own wheels, then you are probably capable of reviewing the packages that you're using third-party externally and providing judgment calls on whether you should be using them in the first place. But people don't even have the ability to judge those things. And so they piece together a bunch of stuff, glue it together, and then of course they have imposter syndrome because they sit there going, what the hell did I just piece together? I have no idea, but it kind of worked. And I got my paycheck and I have a job, so I guess I did it. And then you just feel like you don't belong because what did you actually do? But what are the costs of catering to this kind of feelings-based approach where you make programmers feel good and you make managers feel good and you focus on the money and people can feel good about what they're doing because they slap together an easy however many packages, and they get to the result they want, and they don't have to go through complicated hoops, so to speak, quote unquote. What's the consequence of that? Cybersecurity issues, CVE reports, have never been higher than they are today. Not ever. And they're not just slightly higher, they're 4 or 5 or 6 times higher than even 5 years ago. That's what the data shows. And I've been over it on previous streams, all available on my YouTube channel. And since I'm on that topic, I have a YouTube channel with a whole bunch of videos. Doing an enlightened programming stream series, sorry, not stream. It's a series of streams, and I'm slicing them up into little videos, and I go over academic and scientific data to back up my claims. I try and make logical, objective-based arguments, not internalized my feelings. It worked for me. It worked on this project that I did with a bunch of people or just by myself. Therefore, it's good. These are not real arguments. They're just anecdotal, singular, myopic arguments. I try and do all of this stuff. I have it all on my YouTube. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Help me out. Help me spread this message. Help me spread the warning that the tech industry is in a huge decline. Help me spread the message that we need programmers to step up and use their brains because they have brains. We need people to just exercise those brains a little bit more in our industry. We're wasting a lot of opportunities. We're actually making a lot of things far, far worse. We're hurting people around us physically. Again, that's not just a claim. I have proven it on my previous streams, which again, catch me on Twitch, on Rumble, whatever, it doesn't matter, YouTube, just go and catch these. I've proven it all, and I will only continue to prove it, but I can only do that if you help me with a stupid algorithm that I hate having to play, but I have to play it anyways, because I do not see anybody else putting their face on screen like this and saying things like what I'm saying and trying to prove it the way that I'm proving it, and willing to spend entire streams reading boring scientific articles and arguing with people in order to make the point. I don't see anybody else doing that because nobody else cares as much as I do. So help me out. Okay? D on X, sandbox before install. Yes. All right. We're trying, Dad. Thanks, Lawler. That's it. That's all I got for today. I'm going to call it here. I appreciate everybody who was watching today, or if you're going to be watching in the future. So I'm getting like literally tens of views per daily tech news. But it is increasing. It's getting a lot of, I think people are picking it up. So I'm happy to see it. Even if it's just 10 people, I'm happy to see it. So yeah, I appreciate all of you watching now or in the future. I'm going to call it a stream. I have lots of work to get through today. Lots of people counting on me today. So I'm going to make sure I do my best by them. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Have a good night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I really appreciate all the support. Good luck out there. Peace.